Hey, jumbo, jumbo.
Thank God it's Friday. Almost the day before Friday. It's Thursday. Day for only good news. But before we get into that, we're going to hear from our sponsor, The Cable, and we'll be right back.
More and more cable customers are getting their cable internet package upgraded for free.
I paid 3 months and I got upgraded from Flash to Bolt. So now I'm actually paying less for more.
Yes, up to double speeds and savings of up to $200 per month just for using your card to pay your bill.
I had this Bolt package, then I got this Platinum card and I have paid my bill with that. They have upgraded me to Strike, which is almost double the speed now.
All it takes is a little loyalty. Use your Cable Platinum Loyalty MasterCard to pay 3 consecutive cable bills.
I was upgraded from Flash to the Bolt after paying my bill on time for 3 consecutive months, and I'm now enjoying the free upgrade.
To keep the upgrade, just continue using your Platinum Loyalty Card to pay your cable bills. Pay your bill in-store or online at www.thecable.net. Sign up for the Cable Platinum Loyalty Card today and get more. Terms and conditions apply.
And we are back. Okay, yeah, that was my phone playing what we just heard on the radio. All right, welcome to episode 58 of Only Good News. It's been a very busy week for me, and I can't believe I've made it to this episode. It's been, good things happen, not so good things happen, but I choose to always look at the glass half full. First thing I'm going to really talk about may sound like bad news, but I prefer to look at it as for the good that it is and was, and that's the life of Enid Quinlan. She passed on the 26th, early hours of the morning, and it was something that we knew was going to happen this year, but, she fought a fight, and while she was tired and ready to go to her maker, she just fought and fought and fought. And what you all don't know is that I am living on part of her legacy, because she made my mom into who she was, who she is. Her influence, I've spoken about this on the show before, her influence on being able to lead choirs in the church, put on shows, lead children, influence them in the church musically, was just amazing. And not just that, but her 4 sons, all of whom are successful in different ways. I had one of them on my show. He's the global Chief Information Officer for Deloitte, global, imagine. And listening to him just humbly speak about her influence, his grandmother's influence. Miss Quinlan will be missed, but she will be appreciated more than she will be missed for what she's done and what she has influenced in our lives, in the Adventist church, and the children that are benefiting from what she has planted have nothing but, appreciation for the life that she lived. I did give her flowers while she was still alive. I did go to visit her a couple times in the hospital and play the hymns. I was playing hymns on demand on my trumpet. Yes, I took my mute though, because I didn't want to wake up people sleeping in the hospital, but it was a surreal feeling to hear her call out hymns and listen to her try to muster the strength to sing, but it gave her life. It gave her life, those moments. And, her funeral is going to be in the next 3 weeks on the 21st, so Thursday. And it's going to be a musical celebration. I don't think there's going to be lots of sad faces, but more so just celebrating her life and the musical influence. And so, Miss Quinlan, yeah, you deserve to be the top story of my show tonight, and can't wait to, give you a good send-off. I know what you want, and I'm going to practice and try my best to wake you up. Just one more time. All right, we've spoken about that, and let's talk about something else good that happened this week, and that was my little one. My little one turned 6, and it was such a busy day that I did not get to enjoy the moment with her because I was trying my best to make sure that she had a happy birthday, which she did, and that's all that matters. But I am definitely tired. Y'all might have seen the little video that I put. I put out a little video every year, a little montage. This year was not as mind-blowing as the other years, but it was still touching. And when she watched it, the part that took a lot of my time was Photoshop and putting her in situations that she's wished she was in. That is to travel with me. So I literally Photoshopped her into different scenes at an airport, boarding an airplane, arriving in Amsterdam, and and then seeing snow for the first time. And when I had her watching it, I said, "Do you remember doing this?" She says, "No, Daddy, I don't remember." I said, "What about this?" She said, "No, I don't remember doing this either." But you see, if you can see it, you can achieve it. And I thought that was just a touching gift for her to see herself in that situation. Last year, I did do a little bit of that by putting her to see my father, put her in a scene where she was holding him. And that was touching. And so, yeah, good vibes. Now, the next piece of news, again, it might be bad and it might be good. Her school, Sky Academy, is closing for the next, foreseeable future because of COVID protocols. And while that may be bad, I want to commend the schools for trying to put their best foot forward. They stayed open for 3 weeks, and you cannot replicate in-person learning online. There's no replacement for it. But being bold enough and brazen enough and decisive enough to open up means that now the students have a reference point. They have a reference point once they go online to point back and say, yes, I remember what my teacher did. I remember that she is the person of authority. They can see their friends that they met in person, and it's just that much better. So I'm no longer anxious about what's going to happen online. And, we'll get through this together. Her teacher did have a meeting with us today and spoke about her strengths. I'm going to brag. And say that she says she enters the classroom with excitement, greets with great energy, completes her assignments, decodes well, has great phonetic skills, she's good at math, and competent in foundational topics, and always willing to participate, artistic, and gets along with everyone. That's intentional parenting on both fronts and all fronts with everyone that she comes in contact with. So proud of her. Keep it going. Keep the same energy. All right, more news. St Kitts and Nevis Youth Parliament Executive 2021 and 2022 has been announced. It's a good team. It's a good team. President being Muriel Knight. We had an exchange last week on Facebook. I didn't know he was young guy, but smart. Very, very, very sharp because he got my puns. It was upon him to understand the puns. Vice President, Mr. Malachi Ferguson, General Secretary, Miss Duana Bradley, Treasurer, Mr. Jalen Munzak, and PRO, Mr. Devon Cornelius, who is, reporter, journalist, everything here at WINN FM. Kudos. Can't wait to see what they're going to do. All right, more good news. I know COVID is making us all miserable and everything, but it says here that the U.S. cases declined 26% across America over the last month, with 32 states reporting a drop in infections. COVID-19 cases are continuing to drastically decline across the U.S. as the fourth wave of the pandemic, fueled by the Delta variant, tapers off. Now, on Tuesday, officials recorded 111,160 new cases of the virus, with a 7-day rolling average of 117,223, according to data from the Johns Hopkins University. This figure is a decrease of 26% from the rolling average of 160,157 reported 4 weeks ago. So more than half of the U.S. states, 32 in total, and the District of Columbia have seen COVID infections decline over the last week. That's good. Let's hope that it trickles down, because when they say when America catches a cold, everybody, the whole world, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. So when America doesn't sneeze, the whole world won't catch a cold. All right, next bit of good news. I like this one here. This one says, and I've spoken about this before, charity rescues so much food from landfill, it opens up Pay What You Feel grocery store to share tons of produce. Now in Vancouver, a new supermarket is opening specifically to get unwanted food and produce into the hands of people who need it or want it, thereby sparing it from being dumped into the landfill. The Food Stash Foundation's Rescued Food Market is opening its doors October 1st, located on 340 West 2nd Avenue for 3 hours every Friday. Their surplus produce food is available to anyone, whether they're food insecure, looking to reduce the environmental impact, or simply need to cut down on grocery costs on a pay what you feel rather than what you can basis. So pay what you feel, ensuring that there is a little moral impediment to getting the food out the door and onto the dinner tables around Vancouver. Now, shoppers are encouraged to bring their own bags, but if it slips one's mind, they offer reusable totes at a limit of one per person. And getting it out the door is both a major challenge and a goal, as Food Stash Foundation's executive Carla Pellegrini would explain. 58% of all food produced in Canada becomes waste. Good news, right? I like it. We need more of that here in these parts, because we know people throw away food. All right, another one. Grocery line where slower is better. Slow is not always better than the grocery line. Anyway, supermarkets open chat checkouts to combat loneliness among the elderly. 1.3 million people in the Netherlands are older than 75 years, including my mom. My mom is a young-looking oldie, you know? Anyway, and one large supermarket chain is making sure they're not getting too lonely in their elder years. The Dutch government, with its campaign One Against Loneliness, has galvanized organizations, towns, companies, and individuals to find solutions. The grocer giant Jumbo is doing their part with this innovative chatty checkouts. The idea for the Kletkassa, which translates to chat checkout, originated more than 2 years ago in the summer of 2019, when the first Kletkassa was opened in, I can't pronounce his Dutch words, in Vlugem in Brabant. My mom will be cringing at my pronunciation of these Dutch words. So will my sister. Anyway, this resulted in many positive reactions from customers, and now Jumbo has expanded the initiative further. By this time next year, there will be chat checkouts in 200 stores across the country where people can go for a conversation. Yes! When choosing the stores, areas where loneliness is a major factor are carefully considered. That's excellent news, man. That is excellent news. I love it because I love a good conversation. And actually this week I did have a conversation with an old man, a blind man. I saw him trying to cross the street while I was trying to get something to eat. I was tired and I saw him and I was like, you know what? I stopped my car, got him out, and I helped him across the road. And he's like, can you buy me something to eat? I'm like, yeah, tell me what you want. He says, I want fish and bread. I was like, I said, listen, just tell me what you want. Like anything. It doesn't have to be fish and bread. Just tell me what you want. I can get you anything. He said, yeah, chicken. I said, no, listen, I have a car. Oh, okay. Get me chicken and blah, blah, blah. So I went home, went to the ATMs. ATMs weren't giving out any money. None, which was a sign that I had to give him what I cooked. So I had chicken and jasmine rice. I put together some juice, some water, some star apples, some apples, and some watermelon cut up, and went back to him and walked him to his home, which isn't much of a home, but for that moment he felt loved and taken care of. He did bust a few bad words, giving some anecdotes from his life when he was younger, but I felt that that was meant to happen. And yeah, old people need love too, especially the ones who can't really see. All right, I think that's it. That's it. I'm gonna leave the next one for another day, which is a good news because I don't want my guests to not get in what they have to talk about. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with more good news. Right back.
More and more cable customers are getting their cable internet package upgraded for free.
I paid 3 months and I got upgraded from flash to bold. So now I'm actually paying less for more.
Yes, up to double speeds and savings of up to $200 per month just for using your card to pay your bill.
I had this bold package, then I got this platinum card and I have paid my bill with that. They have upgraded me to strike, which is almost double the speed now.
All it takes is a little loyalty. Use your Cable Platinum Loyalty MasterCard to pay 3 consecutive cable bills.
I was upgraded from Flash to the Bolt after paying my bill on time for 3 consecutive months, and I'm now enjoying the free upgrade.
To keep the upgrade, just continue using your Platinum Loyalty Card to pay your cable bills. Pay your bill in-store or online at www.thecable.net. Sign up for the Cable Platinum Loyalty Card today and get more. Terms and conditions apply.
We are back. Can we see my guests? Can I see my guests? I want to see my guests. All right. Can we see them? Are we zooming? We zooming and zooming and zooming. And we can see each other. Yes. Well, you guys may not see me, but I can see you. Welcome to Only Good News. This is the first 1-2 punch of a former premier of an island and a business professional of your caliber. And speaking about Mr. Hensley Daniel and Miss Euphemia Bryce Roberts. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And good evening to your listeners.
Right. So
thank you very much. We in this country we need to focus a lot on good news. So I'm happy to be part of the good news.
Awesome sauce. I think it's serendipitous for Miss Roberts for you to finally made it onto the show after we had such a good conversation last time. I said, it would be good to have you on the show. I said, yeah, I'll think about it. And lo and behold, it was a seed that was planted. And I'm happy to have you here. And Mr. Dana, you were a trendsetter, because for the first time, I'm having a former premier on my show. What's good with you?
Deputy?
Former deputy. I keep saying premier, but former deputy. Okay, thank you, former deputy. You didn't even correct me.
Well, it's as I said, it's a pleasure to be here, and thanking you for inviting us, and also we are grateful for the use of the technology so that we can stay where we are and still be connected.
Awesome. So a lot of times when I have guests on my show, I'm always interested in a particular storyline that somehow connects the dots to how they got to where they are. So Miss Roberts, I find that you're the epitome of a cultured woman who knows how to communicate effectively. And anyone who has interacted with any of your children automatically knows, yep, that is Miss Roberts' child. Was this ingrained in you during your formative years as a child? I'm curious.
Whatever that English means, I'm not so sure. But in terms of ingrained, as a child coming up, there was always the idea of doing what is right and speaking properly and so on. And I am St. Lucian, and so we have whereas you have the English patois, we have the French patois in St. Lucia. And so one of the points when we were brought up as children, even if our parents may not have been able to speak standard English, may not have been able to express it properly, that is one thing. Children had to speak standard English. And even if your parent responded in the French patois, it was considered impolite in some families for you to respond in patois. So so we were generally taught that be mindful how you speak.
So you would, I'm finding it hard to picture you getting in trouble when you were little. Did that ever happen? Like, what could you possibly have done wrong? I can't picture it. So help me bring this into reality.
Well, I guess my memory fades me on a number of things. But one thing I remember in fact, where I would have gotten licks for not getting any sums right.
Wow.
My math.
Wow.
And so I remember, just a little aside with that, I remember, when I knew my father was likely to check my exercise book and see if I didn't do well. I remember once, checking through and seeing, okay, could I get a past exercise book where I did well? But thank God that day he didn't ask me.
What about you, Mr. Daniel? We all know politicians have always been adept at dancing around questions. Actually, this could be the name for a new game show. Dancing around questions for politicians who just love dancing. Anyway, were you a good question dancer when you were little?
No. I am from the rural community of St Kitts and Nevis.
Okay.
All of the people in the village go to church every Sunday, and they have to go to Sunday school, and you follow the moral compass set by the older people.
Okay.
So it's standard to do what is correct. And even up until when I served as the director of community affairs, I was always telling the village people that I never had to send anybody to Cox, where I'm from, to deal with antisocial behavior. The families are largely nuclear, largely married, very respectable, and all the women in the families are people you respect. So you grow up knowing that you have manners and respect. And of course, we were told that manners could take you around the world and bring you back. So you having manners and respect. And of course, growing up, we spend all the time outside of the house. As compared to this generation, who spends all the time inside the house. So on the gadgets, we were playing cricket and doing a host of other things.
So what was your predicted trajectory? Were they saying, I see he's going to be a lawyer, he's going to be a doctor, he's going to be... What was it that you kept hearing?
You see, my mother died when we were children.
Okay.
Very, very young. So we had a father who was insisting that we had to go to school and had to pursue education. In terms of what he insisted is that you pursue education. As to where it would lead you, you wouldn't know, but you must practice to go to school and practice to learn to read and choose your companies wisely, because whereas we are normally told that a man is known by the company he keeps. He used to say a man is known by the company he does not.
I like that. Well,
so,
that's...
we've, and then, some basics. If you don't drop it, don't pick it up. Learn to read, because if you can't read, you have to depend on your memory. And if your head is hurting you can't remember.
All right, thanks for that, Ms. Roberts. We'll get back to you.
But even as Mr. Daniel mentioned about the man is known by the company he keeps, I'm reminded of something when I was about 9 years old in class, where actually I was in standard 6 at the time, the youngest in the class, and the regular teacher was not there, and so we had a substitute teacher who told us to do some work. And at the time I thought, well, this small teacher, who is this person? And when she came and I decided that I was going to do my own thing. So she sent me to the principal who knows my father. We're quite good friends. And after, when I reached home, I remember I got some good licking. And one of the points my father at the time was saying, each time he brought the strap down, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Ooh. Show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. And at that time, I didn't know it was a saying. I remember thinking, when I see this person, I say, Papa, this is my friend. Papa, this is my friend. Papa, this. So it was only afterwards I realized it was just an expression. Yeah, so as Mr. Daniel said, so I remember that situation.
So it sounds like Daddy was very influential. Do you think that he influenced your knack for being a leader in a way?
And I'm hearing you, and I refer to, well, we called our father Papa. And so yes, I would say yes, both my parents. It's just that my mother would have left home when I was around the age of 9 too. So she would have come back in my life afterwards. But I would say both of them would have had a level of influence and beyond. I think God, it's one of my beliefs that we are all leaders within. It's just the environment may help to nurture it.
Which brings me to my next question, because I'm going to ask if you think that leaders are born or we're made. Mr. Daniels, what do you think about that? Do you think leaders are born or they're made?
No, leadership develops daily, not in a day. And it has been my experience right after leaving.
By the way, we can't see you. Can you pull down your camera just a tad bit so we can see you clearly? Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. I am saying the leadership develops daily, not in a day.
Oh, okay.
And so when I left school, immediately I went into joining a community club, St. John's Community Improvement Club. And immediately you begin to, of course, you're young and exuberant, you begin to do a number of things, and then you get elected to lead the club. We do some phenomenal things like building Nevis's first community center by self-help, with 90 persons with USAID money in 1985, 24. So in our early 20s. And so you, as Mrs. Roberts said, we all have it in us. But the environment certainly, and the zeal and the desire to make a change. So we were teachers, and we were teaching full time, and then going to do voluntary work in the evenings, teaching again, teaching people who wanted to upgrade themselves to do O-level subjects for them, English, history, and those days it was commerce, accounting, maths, and we ended up into doing a lot of things. But in the St. John's community, we did that. We established poultry units. The point I'm trying to make, that early start led to my I was head of the club for a number of years and head of the education program, promoting panel discussions, debates, and lectures, and so on. Because I really believe that, for me, when I look in this society and I see young people not taking advantage of education or not getting enough opportunities for education and training, it worries me. So I think I take my leadership from that. And in that context, we come back, we headed the social services department for a decade, developing programs for foster care, juvenile delinquency, a whole range of things. So by virtue of the training and by virtue of wanting, because I believe to be a good leader, Mr. Inanga, I believe you have to want to see a better world.
Right.
So even if you have all the training and you don't want to see an improvement, leadership says, look, and for me, leadership is making a difference. I once spoke with a gentleman who was manager of a bank, and he says, look, two things I learned there. He says, when you get a degree, the degree is to get you in the door for us to hire you. How long you stay depends on your performance, depends on your leadership, depends on your delivery. And I like that. And then another one says to me, there's a difference between 1 year's experience 10 times and 10 years experience. So some people would be at an organization for 10 years and it looks more like 1 year's experience 10 times. So for me, that leadership thing is always making a difference. What is it you did while you were here? What is it you did differently? And what is the difference you make? And I think it is in that context that we want to develop this leadership program called ACE Leadership. Because, Jason, see what happens in the Caribbean. We are not prepared for leadership. And this program here, this training program that we have, is intending to prepare people for leadership.
We're going to get to that, actually. You jump in the gun a little bit.
He's a politician.
I know. We're gonna get to that. There's
I'm a person.
So before we get there, I just want to know. I mean, Ms. Roberts, you wrote a book about leadership. Leading through coaching, and I see you only have 17 left. That's good. That's a good thing. What are those personal as well as professional experiences that got you to the point where you felt the need to leap into becoming an author about a book on leadership?
Well, one, I think based on before going into the book, I think I would need to start to who I think I'm at heart. I believe I'm a teacher at heart.
Good.
And as a child, I used to teach the chairs. And when they didn't listen, I would beat them. So this idea of helping others has been with me for some time. Now, even through my career, yes, I taught after leaving high school, before going to university. And even in my professional career, in terms of working with persons, I've always had that desire to see persons do better. Mm-hmm. And even since I have been on my own, and that's around since 1996 as a consultant, there's one person I think I need to give a shout out here, even with regard to the whole concept of coaching. I remember when I was doing a program, facilitating the training and development program, there's Miss Amicia Mussenden, although
yes, I know
she
her.
told me recently that she doesn't remember that. But I remember she was the one who first put that idea of taking coaching seriously to me. And it was after that, then I looked at having programs relating to coaching. And coming to the book now, to the extent that one is involved in the practical sessions, in terms of the credibility, and I think it's the next stage to really being an author. So I think it was more or less a progression.
Wow. This is exciting. Mr. Daniel, from what she said, if you were to write a book about leadership, what angle would you take it from, especially as a man?
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
I have been writing in the newspapers. That's the other part of education. Having been a career teacher myself, the other part is I've been writing regularly in the newspapers and in now social media since 1995. And so I am working on a book now, the 5 E's of leadership.
You know my name starts with E.
Yes, you might be one.
Well, my experience with leaders in my professional development, they've influenced, and I'm going to just shout out a few of these. They've influenced who I am today. So someone like Kashi Armani, that was my first boss in IT here in St Kitts, and he threw me in the deep end. That's a form of leadership. And if he didn't throw me in the deep end, I would have still been dependent on him. Yuluka Armani, his sister, she was a stickler for detail. She brought out that in me. Clayton Perkins also held me accountable, and I know he is not easy to deal with when he's ready. And Denzel Crook, he was always somebody who saw that I could be better than what I was, and was very resolute with whatever he said. Somebody else like Valmiki Kempadu, same thing. He always would tell me, that was the founder of Kittition Hill, and he would say, listen, you can be better than here. And now I'm an entrepreneur, and those are seeds that would have been planted. And there's something that's common about all of these leaders who I've had in my life. They believed that I could be better. They believed that I could be better, and that has stuck with me. So while I've outlined my experience, and I can't really complain, I want to know why you're both teaming up, being intentional to change the leadership culture in these parts. What is it that, because they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So you clearly are trying to fix something, and that is with your series that's about to start, and you guys are going to be dealing with Neuro Linguistic Programming, Emotional Intelligence, Appreciative Inquiry, the 5 E's of Leadership, with the sub-theme Forward-Thinking Approaches in Support of the Bottom Line. And, you know, I want to know, what are you really trying to fix? What are you seeing that's common with our leaders in these parts? Mr. Daniel, you can take the floor. And Ms. Roberts,
May I ask, just before Mr. Daniel goes on, please?
Go ahead.
Where I noticed you made the statement of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not a philosophy that I subscribe to.
Okay.
I believe that there is always room for improvement, even when not broken. So with that, just thought I should.
Improvement, yes.
Yes, we take
I
the
agree.
view that we are always ever in the process of becoming. That's what the psychology.
I see what y'all both did there, and I 100% submit. Okay, y'all not fixing anything, you're improving what already exists.
Okay,
Take the
right.
floor.
We think, for instance, that given the challenges of sustaining organizations, keeping them viable financially, reducing the rate of attrition, because you know what we say now, what he said now, Mr. Inanga, that people don't leave organizations, they leave leaders or they leave managers.
Say it again, say it again. With more emphasis and drop the mic.
People do not leave my organizations. So if I'm working at, I'm working at Kittishan Hill and I decide I'm resigning, I'm not leaving Kittishan Hill, I'm leaving the manager.
Okay.
Whoever was managing me are responsible for leading. I'm leaving him or her.
All right.
So in that context, we are saying that we want to reduce the rate of attrition.
Okay.
We want a new group of people to be ready for leadership. So that instead of leadership being based on a ascription in terms of, okay, well, the company was started by my uncle, so I should be the next CEO, that kind of thing. You want the organizations to continue to grow and develop. And so you need a new kind of leadership, which is informed by some of the things that we are saying. And also because in our context, people don't prepare people for the element of succession planning is not done, so that somebody is leaving an organization after 15 or 20 years, and then everybody's eyes and ears begin, there's a buzz as to who should be, and then invariably it is the person who was his deputy the longest, or the person who was in the organization the longest. What we're saying is that we want to prepare and equip a cadre of young people, and we want to do it continually, to be able to respond to the challenges. Because, Jason, you're talking now in the Caribbean, you have to have a level of some level of innovation. You have to be able to reinvent yourself. You have to be able to be reading to follow all the trends that the trends in your particular area of endeavor. So it's not just the usual. The new kind of leader has to be far more aggressive and has to be driven by has to be informed by a particular code of ethics and driven by a particular moral and guided by a particular moral compass. So ethics are big issues, and of course the whole idea of monitoring and evaluating what we do. One of the challenges we have in the region is that we don't know how well we are doing because we're not keeping a close enough tab on our work. And those some of the things that we want to pay attention to. So that we don't want Mr. Inanga to become the leader of Kittishan Hill simply because the manager over there is sick. So they just tell you, well, all right, since you used to be there for some time, you be the manager. No, you must have at the organization 3 or 4 persons who have been exposed to some critical elements of leadership, and any one of them or a group of them can take charge.
Well, one thing you mentioned is reinventing ourselves, and I believe you reinvented me in this discussion because you've called me Jason a couple times. I've been reinvented to my big brother. Interesting. And he's like,
I'll soon learn the name.
Oh,
I'm familiar with you.
just remember, you have the 5 E's of leadership. Just add one more E.
Okay.
Anoite. Oh yes. Let me drop the mic, Miss Roberts. I want you to touch on what's going on with this series that you're about to embark on. I'm really interested in the neuro linguistic programming side. If you can, that's a big term that people don't speak about very often. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, neurolinguistic programming really speaks to how we process information and make decisions. And so the whole idea, the concept, and the concept could be identified from the name neuro, speaking to the brain, linguistic in terms of language, programming in terms of behavior. And the idea was discovered in around the 1970s, I think it was about, with, I may be a little wrong on the particular timing, but by 2 persons. One, Richard Bandler, who was a mathematical programmer, and John Grinder, who was his linguistic professor. And so what they sought to do was to see to what extent excellence can be modeled. What was recognized at the time, that there were some therapists like Virginia Satir, a family therapist, and Fritz Perls, who achieved excellence in what they did from the therapies compared to others. So then they thought, hey, if those persons could have excellence, there must be some, as a mathematician, as a computer programmer, then felt there must be some model. So even when that persons can replicate. So even when those persons were asked, Virginia Satir, Fritz Perls, what exactly you do, they were not able to say exactly what they did to get the results, but they agreed to be observed, and out of the observation it was noted that sometimes is the way persons would hold their eye, that when we think certain things, we hold our bodies in a certain way. For example, if we're feeling depressed, you could see us turning down. If we're feeling upbeat, confident, we carry ourselves in a different way. And so the whole idea of neurolinguistic programming recognizes that there are patterns in what we do. And so if we're interacting with persons, it's important for us to understand those patterns. And as leaders, and I love the definition of leadership by Peter Drucker, where he says leadership is the lifting of a man's vision to higher heights, the raising of a man's performance to a higher standard. So if we look at that is what a leader does, it means a leader needs to understand the thinking, the way that the persons whom they're leading process information.
That is deep. Mr. Daniel, can you give us a scenario where a leader might have shown they need emotional intelligence? And I'm really particularly interested in a scenario, just being a little bit random here, say, perhaps in the House of Assembly, when leaders might have a scenario where you can make it up, where emotional intelligence would have been preferred to be displayed, so that people can understand this whole big term of emotional intelligence. Because
it has everything to do with your, as Mrs. Roberts say, your understanding of behavior, people's behavior, you understand yourself. Very often, oh my goodness, anointing.
Oh wow!
Very often, anointing. Very often, people expect you to act a particular way. For instance, well, of course, I've had several experiences in political level where people expect you, because somehow or the other, people associate politics and leadership with brutality. And if you exercise understanding and exercise a certain degree of compassion, a certain degree of care, a certain degree of interest, that is seen to be outside of the norm. So in that context, you are exercising a degree of emotional intelligence, which tells you that the way you deal with people has everything to do with your understanding of them and your understanding their position. I think very often we are happy to proceed with the usual. And I think Mrs. Roberts was just making the point about understanding the need for you to connect. Your language does not just become language also. It is directed by the brain. So it's for you to spend a little bit of time understanding people and understand how best to respond to them.
Oh, you danced. You danced very well. You danced very, very well. You danced very. I gotta give it to you. You're a good dancer.
No, I was trying to avoid giving you any example.
I know. That's what I said. You dance. You dance. I like. Well, because it's music playing. You know. I got it. Well, I want to know who's your target audience for this series that you're both tag teaming on. Miss Roberts, you wanna?
Yes. Well, we're looking at. Well, it's across the leadership spectrum of the organizations. So we're looking at CEOs. So we're having a CEO forum. So where we're looking at the CEOs would have an opportunity to discuss various issues. We're having this webinars from senior managers. And we have a webinar for middle-level managers and supervisors. And as Mr. Daniel would have alluded to earlier, the whole idea, the importance of succession planning. And so if it's important that if everybody is being exposed to similar information, it could help. And I'm reminded at this point, it just reminds me of a story. I remember years ago facilitating a program on leadership. And at the end of the program, when I said, okay, now that you're going back, what are you going to do? There was a particular person who just seemed, well, actually it happened twice in 2 different islands. And the persons went down. It's as if, well, with that kind of organization that I'm in, you think I can put this into practice? And it took me, I had to come back and to say, okay, yes, what are the likely challenges you might be faced with? And if you're faced with this is what you could do. So to take care of, to avoid that kind of issue, this is why we would really like persons across the organizational spectrum to attend the program. So when everybody's exposed to similar information, it makes it easier to introduce into the organization.
Wow. Mr. Daniel, you want to follow up with that?
Yeah, and to say that the whole idea is that what we want is this. You notice what we say. We say CEOs, senior managers, and middle-level managers. That is to say that we don't want leadership capacity to reside only among the CEOs or only among the senior managers. That you want, in the context of what we're doing, we are building a cadre of people to take over in the system so that when NOIT is the manager and he goes on holiday, he can actually go on holiday. And he doesn't have to worry about, because there are other people in the organization who can run the organization.
When you're managing machines, it's different.
Yeah, we have too many one-man, what do you call them? One-man band.
Yeah.
So when we think of an organization, we would hope that in any organization that registers for the program, that organization registers people at the supervisory level, people at the senior management level, and people at the CEO level. Why? You're in your organization, you want to have the 3 tiers of leadership, so that in time, and that whatever happens, you know that the organization is in good hands. Because you know what happens at NYK, if you don't do that you begin to lose market share, your profitability decreases and so on. But if I don't think people make the connection between the human resource capability, these people that win the battle for business. For instance, NYK, what is the difference between TDC and Hartford? The Hartford Building Materials Department and TDC Building Materials Department. What's the difference?
One starts with T and the one starts with H.
No, the difference is the people. The difference is people. And that is what we are seeking to do in this training exercise. Saying that, look, the difference is in leadership. So that you have an organization where the manager is sick, God forbid, not wishing that, or he has to be away. Or I know some organizations which say the manager say, I can't afford to go away because there's nobody to leave in charge of the organization. But if he dies, the organization may shut down for an afternoon and they will continue the next day, not so. So then you don't want a scramble for leadership. You want to have at your disposal the leadership capability. I think years ago, the police force in St Kitts and Nevis was trying to do that. They were identifying some people who could go on to a training school in England and expose them to leadership. And that, so that when you want a commissioner, when you want a head of the crime unit or whatever, you can look among the people who have been trained. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or you have a pool of people from which to choose. And that is what we must do. This old-time, old-fashioned way of when the leader leaves, we begin to look. No, you have a cadre of people at all levels of the organization. So the person who is functioning as a clerk can be exposed to leadership. The person who is an administrative officer can be exposed to leadership. So that's what we're doing.
And also, following up there, I was listening to a program early on today, which was speaking about team coaching. And the point was made about that we're moving from that heroic leader concept to a team leadership approach. And so if we're serious about taking the organization to another level, we need to be conscious about that level of team leadership that we are really engendering in organizations.
Wow. So we have about 6 minutes left, believe it or not. Tell you, this is going to go very quickly. I want to know if you want to encourage people on how they can sign up for this. You kind of have the floor on where they can go and get more information about what you're going to be doing and the dates and how it's going to be delivered. Okay.
Well, we have issued sent out flyers to various organizations.
Okay.
But additionally, if persons go to website www.brbusinesscoach.com, then one could register. Or persons could also call my number 465-8044, or Mr. Daniel, your number
469-2589, preferably 662-5566.
Okay.
All right.
So 469-2589, 662-5566, Mr. Daniel. For me, 465-8044 or 668-4623, or one may also go, like I said earlier, to the website www.brbusinesscoach.com. So there one could get further information.
Well, it's not very often I have two people of this caliber on my show, so I'm going to challenge both of you with a paradigm of thinking, hopefully in a way that and that fosters change in the way we currently see the world. Two areas that have been perturbing to me in the corporate world have to deal with hold on, can we see? Is everything okay? Yes, okay. Have to deal with sometimes the lack of empathy from senior managers and decision makers with respect to children, parents, employees who are parents. If you look at our policies right now, when I ask the question, like, if your child is sick, who's supposed to stay home with the child? The parent, right? But the parent has to work, and the parent can't get sick leave because the child is sick. Or why do we have a system where schools finish at 3:30, but the work day ends at 4? Who's supposed to pick up the children? Again, we've designed a society that has been devoid of actually remembering that we're people. at the end of the day. And it's when a natural disaster hits or crisis hits, we remember, that's when we start to remember, oh my gosh, yeah, we're people, let's come together. But I say we should try to come together now that things aren't so bad. And the other challenge I want to give you as a politician, I always wonder.
Here, Miss Roberts.
No, I'm serious. It's a challenge, and it's a good one. I've always wondered, and I see politics as analogous to a relationship. You know, we get together. You tell me, I'm good for you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to provide and make sure there's nothing to worry about. That's what you tell me. And if you're true to what you're saying, and we say, you know what, after 4 years, you get a chance to see if somebody else can do better, right? If you are actually doing everything that you say you're going to do, and if I am happy, and if I am affirming that I am happy, why at the end of those 4 years would you actually come and convince me to pick you again when you know that I'm happy? The moment you start coming and saying, oh, you have to pick me, I'm like, no, but I already know I'm happy. You understand? So the mere fact that we have to campaign means that they're falling through the cracks. We're not taking care of everyone. I'm just wondering, and I mean, it may be an idealistic paradigm, but I just wonder why campaigning is necessary if you've taken care of everybody.
Well, I will say two things. On the first one is on the empathy, and that when on the developing the 5 E's of leadership, when we focus on ethics, we spend some time with empathy because, and also one of them is egalitarianism. If you want people to be lifted, then you have to demonstrate a certain level of empathy. Really makes the difference between humans and animals or non-humans.
True.
So yeah, that empathy is a distinguishing characteristic. Now, at the political level, where you say you have to campaign, there are more variables. Sometimes the variables which were present in 2004 are not present in 2009, and then I am not sure that I have made everybody happy, so I have to go check again. Okay.
Okay.
And may I also add there that even if it's also the expectations of the clientele, because if some feel okay, if the other side who is now trying to get in is doing something, then they're saying, but wait, aren't you coming? So so not everybody's like you, Mr. Inanga, that you feel, okay, I'm satisfied. Okay, others may feel I'm satisfied, but I still need to see you. So I think, as Mr. Daniel said, all of the variables. And just to piggyback on the point that you made with regard to the empathy, I think, yes, it's one of the things that, one of the areas that as leaders one needs to look at. I remember myself as a young leader coming up that I would be equally guilty of not conscious of that. Hey, the parent needs to go out. As far as I'm concerned, yes, you find your way some way somehow. So I take the point that it's an area that we really need to look at.
Awesome. Well, this is pretty much the end of our little conversation. We just have 10 questions, rapid fire. I ask them first person, you answer them, and we'll be done. All right. So here we go. Number one, Mr. Daniel, you take first, and Miss Roberts, you take second. All right. Number one, and you gotta be brief. Number one, my superpower as a leader is. That's you.
Oh, my superstar.
Yeah, my superpower as a leader is. Be brief.
Muhammad Ali and Nelson Mandela.
Okay, Miss Roberts, my superpower as a leader is
listening.
Number three, something about my childhood that makes me nostalgic is, Mr. Daniel?
Oh, growing up in Cox.
All right, Miss Roberts, something about my childhood that makes me nostalgic. Not the licks, I know.
Family love.
All right. Number five, Mr. Daniel, feed this to me and we will be friends instantly.
Love.
Love. Okay. All right. Mr. Roberts, feed this to me. We'll be friends instantly.
Same here, love.
Okay. Come like your belly gonna be empty. Anyway, number 7, COVID is bad, but it did bring about this good aspect, in my opinion. Mr. Daniel.
A recognition that we are in this thing together, the need for unity.
I see what you did there. All right, Ms. Roberts, COVID.
Technology. The ability to use the technology.
All right, and number 9, the best part about being on the show is, Mr. Daniel?
Being able to interact with the innovator.
Ms. Roberts, the best part about being on the show?
Sharing with all.
Wonderful. Well, we've come to the end. This has been an amazing experience. I feel inspired to be a better leader, to be a better daddy, to be a better everything. And this is a good 1-2 punch. So CEOs, almost CEOs, managers, directors, country managers, almost managers, wannabe managers, pretend managers, make-believe managers, all y'all, make sure you go to BR Consult. Say the website again.
brbusinesscoach.com.
brbusinesscoach.com, and check out what they're offering. You get the Neuro Linguistic programming and emotional intelligence. We need that. We need more of that in this world, especially in these parts. And if you complain about your boss, that boss should go to this thing. Okay? I want to hear people talking and complain about it. Just send them a little email. Hey, you need neuro-linguistic reprogramming and emotional intelligence. All right. You guys, any last brief word, thought before we go?
I will add, and appreciative inquiry. Very important, and I'm very thankful to you, Mr. Inanga, for the opportunity to be here. And I thought it was beautiful that you were able to big up your leaders who have made a positive difference in your lives.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to share, and I am to hope that we shall be back when we put another series together.
Yeah, and the questions will change.
Yes, because the things change, the dynamics change,
and the dance will change. Anyway,
the dance. No, but it will still be dance.
It will still be dance. All right, thank you guys, and just remember, everybody.
Thank you very much, and thanks to the listeners.
And to be kind and to spread love. Bye. See y'all next week, episode 59.
Bye now. Thank you.
Okay.
Caribbean tourism is dead in the water and wholly dependent on what's next in the United States, Europe, and Canada.
Global cases have now passed 13 million just 5 days after we hit the 12 million mark.
In Jamaica, residents of the parish of Hanover are in shock over the brutal slaying of 6 family members on Thursday night.
Chauvin had his knee on